Hey everyone, what's going on? I know you're probably not in here yet, and that's fine. I'm going to put out the word. It's going to be a short stream, but a valuable one. So let me let the Discord know. And that's pretty much all I'm going to let know right now. Whoever shows up, and that's cool. Y'all can watch it in the archive. I think a lot of my audience is asleep right now. Nope. Can't have any cutscenes play, unfortunately. We know better with Konami. Hey, what up, Lazy Geek Gamer HD? Welcome. Welcome. Let's wait until everyone gets in here before, this rant gets going. It's a positive rant, but it's also kind of based on a few years of me trying to accomplish something like this. So let me make sure everyone knows we're streaming Silent Hill. For some reason, it's still saying I'm streaming Asura's Wrath. All right, Baheo Phoenix, what's good, man? Good old Silent Hill 3, indeed. Okay, let's get everything configured here. You are reading that correctly, though. I am playing this on a PlayStation 3 Slim. Hard vibes. And then we'll take a look here. Our blood color for today, we're going green. Much blood volume. I like the noise effect off, personally. Sharp, normal. We're gonna make it crisp. All right. We'll do a new one. We're gonna do it both on easy because this isn't really about playing Silent Hill 3 as much as it is talking about the state of Sony, emulation, maybe Silent Hill. I'll talk a little bit about Silent Hill 3. But this is going to be my case study here. Silent Hill 3, as you can tell by the poster back here, it's my favorite Silent Hill. And the problem is, it hasn't been properly preserved in the modern era. And you could argue that, yeah, they put out the Silent Hill HD collection for the PS3 and the 360. Those were garbage. Speaking as somebody who played through the Silent Hill HD on the PS3, it ran at maybe 20 frames per second. It crashed. All sorts of wrong textures and different voice actors, and basically ruined a classic. One of my favorite games of all time. It's definitely in the top 5. So Max from the Discord, he's a subscriber of the channel. We were talking about custom firmware because they just released Rebug custom firmware 4.82 for the PS3, which allows all PS3s to have not custom firmware like fully, like a soft hack to wherever you can use a browser and install packages and tool around with some basic things. Well, turns out my particular model of PS3, it's a slimline, like 2000 series. My particular model was capable of being fully hacked. And the advantages of having a fully hacked PS3 is that you can then unlock the PS2 emulator that Sony locked away. There might be a valid reason for them doing that, like maybe not all games are 100%, but if even 85% of the games are playable, there's really no reason to lock it away. So this ties into Silent Hill 3 because this is a game that's that many people want, like a faithful port. And due to various bunglings throughout Konami's history and Sony's, it's like a combination of two efforts. Like a perfect storm of shit. We can't get a faithful HD version of this game, or at least like something that's convenient for many people to play. I mean, you can pay a lot of money legitimately and get a PC copy and do a whole bunch of patches and like toggling around to get it to work in HD. But it's just still not, it doesn't meet that consumer level of convenience. And so, like, this was in my heart the entire time, is like, I just want to be able to pop in my disc of Silent Hill 3 and play it with no hitches, 480p, I'm fine with that, no interlacing bullshit, no component cables, I just want to be able to play it. So that was my goal with hacking my PS3. On top of that, I was then able to rip my legitimate library and dump it on my hard drive. And then load it and organize my library. So now I have a PS3 that has unlimited memory card space, which is an overlooked feature if you've ever had a PS2. 8 megabytes is not enough. Especially if you like to play weird-ass games where you build shit like Graffiti Kingdom, which I do. So it's just never enough. And, for the longest time, I've been reviewing games on my PS2 via component cables. And while it looked okay, it was just all muddy and it was letterboxed and just, it wasn't crisp. It wasn't the cleanest signal possible. Now, some of you might argue out there, hey, why don't you go ahead and use the PCSX or RPCXS 2.0, the PS2 emulator? Well, it works fine for a lot of games. There's still too much toggling. There's still too many artifacts and random shit that I have to do to make sure it's all right. For example, I was trying to play through Rule of Rose, and while a third of the game was okay, and you're like, okay, yeah, it looks fine enough, once you get to the airship and you get to the third month, the game hard locks all the time. So it's a pain in the ass, and it may be my processor, it may be my GPU. There's just too many variables that I don't like about it. I like the simpler, the better. Once we're up and running, anyway. So, that was basically... Heather, why are you locking onto that turkey? The flying turkeys. I'm just gonna make it to the mall real quick. So, yeah, that was really easy to do. It took me all but... I had to format my hard drive, and I just left it on, and it was 4 hours to format the hard drive. But after that, it took me all but 30 minutes to fully hack my PS3 Slim to restore functionality that Sony is currently being sued. There's a class action lawsuit against Sony to restore the functionality that they patched out for no reason. For no reason that I can tell. Like other OS. You can get $65 if you write into Sony right now and say, hey, I bought a PS3 for other OS. So Sony they've been doing that for a while. They honey-dick you with all these features that you might want. I mean, hell, I would pay an extra $100 for PS4 if I don't even care about the Emotion Engine or PS3, if I could just pop in PS1 and PS2 discs and use the existing emulator on the PS4 to play those games in HD. It's ridiculous because, it's not even a situation where they want to resell you the same games. They just stopped. There was a good library. They were starting off really well on the PS4, selling you games like Okage, Shadow King, and the Grand Theft Autos, and Bully, and Siren, and Rogue Galaxy, and Dark Cloud 1 and 2. So they had the ball rolling, but now all of those PS2 HD games are shoved at the back of the store. So every time I want to buy something, I have to go through at least 12 tabs of information to try and find the hidden PS2 store. So I was just fed up with it. Now apparently there's a custom firmware, or there's a hack where you can inject PS2 games into your PS4, and if you have like 3.50, you have to have an ancient ass firmware. I don't. So this was the next best thing. And I am so impressed. Like, I'm impressed, and I'm also pissed off because there was no reason for Sony to do this. I would have never hacked my PS3 if they didn't patch out shit that they had promised having from the get-go. And let me tell you something. It works perfectly. I can even pop in my PS4 controller and play Silent Hill 3 with a PS4 controller. I'm playing with my DualShock 3 that I brought back from the dead because Sony cut corners on the DualShock 3. So let's talk about the DualShock 3. You want to know how I repaired this thing that was constantly entering 8 or 9 different commands when I plugged it in? Not even kidding. Plug it in with USB, it would pop up with the cross-media bars, and it would just go like blah, 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 blah. And anytime I hit R1, it would hit triangle, X, and then down on the analog. And that was making me mad, so I had to like plug in my PS4 controller and play that away. So I look online for a DIY because there was no DualShock 3s in my town for 15 miles, unless I wanted to buy a wired knockoff thing. And I was like, what's the point? I can just use the PS4 controller. There's like 1,000 knockoff DualShock 3s on Amazon, and they're still like $40. And trying to find a Sony one that works, that isn't used, is still like $50. So I'm like, how can I fix this myself? And I swear to God, I go on, I sit down, and I'm watching this dude's like DIY fix. I'm like, what's going on? Is it a wire? Do I need to solder? Nope. All it is there's a piece of styrofoam that's connected to a ribbon cable, and this piece of styrofoam that they put inside the DualShock 3, I guess, degrades a little bit over time, and it just doesn't push up against the ribbon. So the entire fix is getting a piece of duct tape or electrical tape and wrapping it around that piece of styrofoam one time and jamming it back in to where the ribbon cable touches the styrofoam, and then somehow piecing together like a reverse assembly your DualShock 3. And that's the hardest part of the fix because everything just explodes the moment you unscrew your PS3 shell. So I spent a good hour trying to reassemble it. I got that, like I taped that styrofoam, I put it back into place, and then just putting it back together was a nightmare. But I did it, and my DualShock 3 has never worked as good as it does now. So, like, that's just been a nightmare and a half. Trying to find a good DualShock 3, it's just not going to happen. So, just look for yourselves. You will not find a great DualShock 3 out there locally. Somebody out there. And here's the thing. When I was looking into just buying a new DualShock 3 because I knew about the firmware hacks, there were 2 guys in this GameStop that had just rushed in, dragging their girlfriends by the arm, asking the cashier at GameStop, how much are your PS3s? She's like, okay, this one, we got the fat model, that's about 90. We got the slim model, that's 120. And it's like, you know, you could get like the 100 gig or the 250 gig for like $20 more. And so she's like, do you want any games with it? And he's like, nope, no games, just the PS3. Doesn't look fishy at all. But this is what's going to go down. Like the PS3 is getting a new resurgence of people interested in it because it's easy as shit to hack. But I don't really want to hack it for PS3 games. I wanted to hack it for PS1, PS2, and being able to play PSP games in HD. Why Sony doesn't have the ability to play PSP games on the PS4 or PS3 is stupid. Like, I don't understand. So now, all these people out there buying all these, like, baked-on Nintendo consoles and baked-on Super Nintendo consoles are wasting their money because you can install RetroArch in all but 15 seconds and play the entire library of NES, SNES, PS1, TurboGrafx 16, all Genesis up to Sega CD. PS1 through PS3 all in one box. So, like, I don't understand why Sony just they don't recognize that consumers are getting smarter. There's like thousands of DIY videos. It's never been easier to hack a system than it has for the PS3. On the latest firmware, no less. Like, the only thing that you can't really hack fully are those crappy super slim sliding tray things. So yeah, like, I'm happy, I'm jubilant, this is what I've wanted for years, and then I'm also angry because I'm thinking that Sony could have done this easily. The emulators exist. Like, I can now play Silent Hill 3 on not a botched abortion version made by Konami and hijinks. So now we have a lost generation of games. Let's turn this camera over here. I have 300 games of PS2 games like the VHS. Like the VHS, they exist nowhere else. They're in a vacuum by themselves. You have to hold on to old hardware with failing disk drives. Like, unless you're relying on some uploaders on Emu Paradise to release the NTSC 60 Hz not slowed down edition. Like the Simple Series games. Like Deep Water. You know, trying to hunt down an ISO, unpacking it, and getting the proper settings for all this shit, versus hacking your PS3 and playing it now in the convenience of your own home wirelessly. So yeah. Plus, on top of all of this bullshit, I had to get an HDCP stripper because even with custom firmware, they hard-hacked in HDCP, which can be bypassed with an HDMI splitter and an HDMI stripper. So what's the point? Even up to the Vita TV, the one thing that could have advertised a whole library and generation of Vita games, Sony's just like, we're just gonna put in this extra hurdle for the dum-dums that may want to show off our games. We just want to put in this extra hurdle. Oh, you mean it could just take $10 buying an HDMI stripper and plugging that in to bypass this pointless firmware that we put on there? So they're killing off it just boggles my mind how inconvenience. They're in the business of inconvenience. And they've been at this for years. They don't want to play ball with any other companies. They don't want to get with the modern era. I can't play Rocket League with fucking people on the Nintendo Switch and PC and 360 and Xbox One just because they're the top dogs right now. So they're in the monopoly. When you have the monopoly, you don't have to be cool at all. You can just release the Devil May Cry HD collection again. A worse version with wrong sound sampling and missing effects. When you're the top dick flopper, Sony, you don't have to do anything like this. So, anyone who has a high opinion of themselves and says that piracy is just never the solution and you should only own original games, mind you, I have the entire fucking PS2 NTSC and PAL and some NTSCJ. I legitimately there that the developers will never see money for because I probably bought them used. Sony's not doing anything to preserve this library. It's the new VHS. Nobody's doing anything about this except for the pirates. So anyone who shits on piracy or torrenting, they're keeping this alive. They're keeping the dream alive. Because these middleware developers, even grasshoppers, thank God they're out there like, you know, shoehorning this and taking charge, saying that we're going to preserve some of our oldest, most obscure stuff, even if it doesn't sell 1 million copies. We're keeping it around, keeping the flame alive so a newer generation can enjoy these games. I can't even describe how, as I said, exhilarated that piracy, I wouldn't even call it piracy. I would call it like convenience software, fixing the mistakes of Sony out there. I can't. Why? Why do I have to go through so much bullshit? As somebody who reviews games and captures footage, trying to find the definitive version of Silent Hill 3, for instance. Like, do I download the PC version and run Windows 98 or 2000 compatibility mode or Windows XP compatibility mode? Do I apply all these patches? Is it compatible with my motherboard and processor and GPU? Is it going to run in twice the speed? Oh, fuck, what do I do? Oh, do I just play the PS2 version via composite or get component on there? Or do I dig out, hold on, not done. Do I dig out my Frankenstein launch model PS3 that runs like a space heater that I had to bake the motherboard in the oven because I didn't want to go through some shady ass reballing software like services that I would ship off this motherfucker for $200 to some guy that won't give me a tracking number. He won't give me a tracking number, won't respond to any of my requests to see how if he even received my PS3. That may work all but maybe one more year. This thing's on life support, but I just followed some child's YouTube DIY video to bake this in my oven, and I totally did this. I took a fucking hairdryer to the processor, went to Radio Shack when it was still alive, RIP, bought some Arctic 7 silver to put on the processor, and just bake it for the chance to play some of my PS2 games through an HDMI cable, which I still would have to run through an HDMI stripper box, just to show some people a new generation of PS2 games. Why? Why have I gone through all this shit for the better part of a decade? And you know what? This is my Gen 2 model. I had the wrong one. Hold on. That was my Generation 2 fat model. This is the actual Generation 1 with the Spider-Man font that's missing now. They still own Spider-Man. They literally licensed out Spider-Man font for this thing. And it's got, look at this shit. It's got a Pro Duo, an SD Mini, and a CF reader. At one point, Sony was cool. And they're like, shit, you mean we can just strip out the emulator that runs the PS2 games, and then we'll rip all the ISOs and put them up on our store, and we'll hide them so no one can buy them conveniently. It's on the last tab of, like, it says PS2 on PS4. It's on the last possible tab. Even on the PS3 store, they're hard to find. Why make them so inconvenient? because they want to re-release HD remasters. Anyway, so this wasn't good enough. They're like, oh, $599 US, no one's buying it. Oh, and our Blu-ray idea, it's not catching on like fire. We got to do something to fight HD DVD. So let's remove all of the fun. Let's remove the CF reader, the SD reader, the Pro Duo reader. Let's remove a couple of USB ports because nobody uses those. Nobody hooks up their other charger, their other PS3 controllers they're not using, or their two Move controllers and navigation wands. They're just gonna have to find some other fucking place, or we're gonna accessorize and sell those things on our own. Well, we're gonna remove all the fun. So the cell processor is the only thing in here. We're gonna remove the Emotion Engine. Here you go. It consumes double the power of a slim equivalent. It still has just as much failure rate and yellow lights of death as our other version. Only it's $100 less. We have a software emulator that works. We just don't want to give it to you. But it plays PS1 games. It's not compatible with my Katana controller. Won't run this. Every year, every generation, it's the same thing with Sony. And I'm sick of supporting them because, like, I have the PS4 Pro, and all I'm sitting there thinking is, like, I don't feel like a pro at all. It's just an excuse to have a VR headset, which I haven't touched in a month. And setting that up's a pain in the ass, too. Every time I think about Sony and like, oh, we're re-releasing Shadow of the Colossus. You know what I want to do? Not play it again. Like like a remake made by some studio that just handles like, you know, up-resing games. Like that's their specialty. I don't want to play it again. Just let me play the original one. Let me have a choice to make here. Sony has never been about choices. So now I have a PS3 Slim. I can put any PS1 game in there and dump it to my hard drive, my own legitimate copy, or, you know, some pirated copy of some other game out there that I've never played or heard of. I can do that. You can just pop it on in, Front Mission 3, we're good to go. I can make virtual memory cards, so I'm not fucking with 100,000 memory cards on the PS1 where Tecmo's Deception takes up the whole fucking card. Don't have to worry about that. Make my own virtual memory card. Why can't I do that with the PS4? At least that. Can't even read CDs. PS2. I can pop in any of my PS2 games. I can modify things like widescreen, 480p, customize the controls, download cover art. Piracy is the more convenient solution. Have half my library on there. And, you know, if I'm just laying down, I can pick and play. I want to play Flower, Sun, and Rain. I'm there. I'm in there. I just... going forward, because here's what I see for the future. It's going to get harder and harder to consoleize in a box. Like even Raspberry Pi isn't up there yet. To make a consumer-grade PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 all-in-one box, a library, they're just not going to do it. I mean, like, they'll probably sell you on the fact of, like, buying, like, a PC, like that Atari box or a Linux box of some kind, and maybe they'll put, like, a PS2 emulator official, like Sega did with that Dreamcast emulator. Maybe that's what we might see, but it'll be locked down by DRM, won't be as convenient as just popping in a disc, ripping it there, and having your library right there. What are they so worried about? Are they worried about Konami coming out and saying that, oh no, we're going to sue you because this is not our ideal vision of things? Or other companies coming in the fray? Just give me a PS2 emulator. Give me the thing that was already there. It exists. You're not doing anything with the PS2 on PS4 emulator that clearly works with probably 100% of the library. Maybe there's a few exceptions. Maybe block out just a few games saying, sorry, the gun con doesn't work on this. We're sorry. That's it. Be transparent. Anyway, I'm really, as I said, I'm miffed about this because This has been the most satisfying experience I've ever had hacking a system. No bullshit. No bullshit. It took me all but 30 minutes to learn what I needed to do and then do it. And then all of a sudden, I've unlocked everything. It's all there for me, laid out, super convenient, and it's beautiful. I can monitor things like the system CPU and then the temperature. I can see the frame rates displayed on each game, so I don't even have to go to Digital Foundry and watch a video. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And the thing is, as I said, this is a more convenient solution for me than an emulator. And I'm not knocking emulators. Like the PS2 emulator has gotten better over time. It's still not perfect. The PSP emulator is pretty much perfect though, but the PS2 one still isn't perfect. So it's not a viable alternative for me as somebody who wants to go through the entire game and do everything there is to do as the developers originally intended. Like, this is the best way of doing it, and there's nothing wrong with the emulator. Why did they patch it out? Why are they getting sued for patching out other OS? Anyway, let me go through the chat. I think I missed everything in here. I think I missed everything. I'm sorry. Jada Job says, cool. BioPhoenix says, when I played Rule of Rose on PC, it looks good on my end. Yeah, I think I tried to double the resolution on it or something. There was like some ground warping in the textures and stuff. It was just way too clean for its own good. Let's see. Oh yeah, Max, I already said, Max, I shouted him out. Max on the Discord helped me hack all this and showed me how to do it. It was brainless. It took no time to do. And oh, by the way, it's not perfect, but now remote play can be unlocked for every title. That thing that's on PS4 that you can stream to your Vita, well, you could have also done that with the PS3. Only a few select games could do it, like Tokyo Jungle, God of War, and a couple of other like smaller PSN games. You could stream it to your PSP or Vita and play it that way. Not perfect, but you could do it. And then Sony just arbitrarily locked that feature away too. Let's see. Everyone's like, oh, Jesus. Miles, PS3 emulation is not always the best. Forbidden Siren 2 gives artifacts. Yeah, I'm not going to say it's 100%, but even 50%, even if half the library works perfectly, that's way better than nothing, don't you think? Everyone says Denzel says the PS4 DMC remaster is shit. That's really sad to hear because I love Devil May Cry 1 through 3. I even like 2, the black sheep of the thing. It's not the best playing one, but there's some fun moments. I like Lucia in it. I think she's cool. Oh yeah, the PS3. By the way, no region locking on PS1 and PS2 games. It was region locked. So for example, if I had a PS1 game, like the Dragon Ball Z fighting games, that I just pop into my PS3 or even PS2 and PS1, I would have to do some piracy measure or like pop in a legit disc and then pop open the tray and swap it out seconds later or tape down the eject button. Bullshit. Or I would have to buy... By the way, I do have it right here. Oh shit, my can of Hassie. I do have a can. I want to show you something. I have like a little Illbleed shrine on my collection. Kirk, he made me this Hassie can for the Blue Stinger review. It's one of my most prized possessions. I think it was a can of Monster. I think it's like a can of Monster energy drink, but his friend makes professional labels, and so Kirk did a graphic design of that Hassie can. It's fucking amazing. I'll have to make some next year, or in October when I do Illbleed. Sorry, got a little sidetracked, but for years I was using this HD loader, which I've updated over the years, to play import to play import games on my PS2 through the hard drive, or I would have to get something like an IDE hard drive to USB and then use a special program to convert ISOs that I legitimately owned, mind you, to dump it onto an IDE hard drive and then toggle at least 7 different settings to play import games or to play any games conveniently without swapping out discs. It's ridiculous. The PS1 is even more ridiculous. Like I have like one of those those region discs where you put in a disc and then it's like, okay, now put in your other region disc and press X when you're ready. Bullshit. Years. This is, as I said, this has been going on forever. Found out you can also play PSP games on your PS3, which is magnificent because the official way, you want to hear some more bullshit? The official way to capture PSP games is to get a little cable that goes into here. The microphone, there's like a microphone jack and then or a headphone jack and a TV out jack. Gets you this crappy little letterbox. Like if you look at my work time fun review is like this big. It doesn't even cover up most of the screen. Like we tried to play, like my girlfriend tried to play Persona 3 up on the TV and it looks like garbage to output it there. That was the only official way to play PSP games on the big screen. So Sony, completely capable of playing PSP games on the PS3. An entire library that they're not even making money on. Same thing with the Vita. Why even like pretend the Vita TV or the PlayStation TV is a thing anymore? Just give up, make a Vita emulator, and put that shit on the PS4. So some other company's going to do it. Here's what I predict. I definitely predict the PS4 Pro, even within like the next couple of years, is going to have all of that shit. Maybe not a perfect PS3 emulator, maybe like an archaic one, like maybe I can play Disgaea 3 on there, Disgaea 4, you know, some of the more 2D low asset ones, like not your Uncharted's, but some other games probably will exist. Vita definitely will exist in PSP, and it'll just be a paradise because Sony's not going to get with it. They have no incentive to do it. Okay, let me go back in the chat here. Baking the George Foreman grill. I guess you're referencing my giant ass George Foreman PS3s. Let's see. I'll forgive Sony. Denzel says, I'll forgive Sony if they fix JoJo's Eyes of Heaven netcode. Does the online suck for that? Yeah, $5.99 was a shit price. BioPhoenix. Wild Potato says, I talk shit about the Xbox One, but at least it has decent backwards compatibility with the 360 and some OG games. Don't even get me started. I sold my Xbox One because I didn't think it was getting any exclusive games, which it's not, really. I mean, like, not anything I was into. Like, Scalebound was the last thing I was interested in. Scalebound and Phantom Dust, D4, and like other like Japanese games. They just completely abandoned any hope for anyone who wanted Japanese games on that system, or just like exclusives that I can't get on PC. And then just as I sell it, they drop Lost Odyssey on the Xbox One, complete HD, better texture resolution, and they release it for free for anyone who has Xbox Live Gold that you can keep forever. It's not even like, even if you only had Xbox Gold for 1 month, you get it for free. So Microsoft ends up looking amazing in this scenario. And they're continually doing that. They recognize they have a problem. They recognize that they've had a core audience that feels like they've been raped left and right by bad news. And then they're like, okay, you know what? We know what made us great, so we're going to go back and bring those things free of charge. So if you still hold on to your old Xbox collection, you're respected. If you hold on to your Xbox 360 collection, you're respected. Or if you want to just buy them as a casual person, like $20, you can play all of Lost Odyssey, HD, it's beautiful. And now I'm sad because like now I want an Xbox One again just for the backwards compatibility's sake. Like nothing else. Nothing on Xbox One do I want to play. Just playing things in HD without having to worry about like my old Xbox original with the bad capacitors in it. Don't want to worry about that. It's ridiculous. The state we're in. I mean, like Nintendo for a while had a phenomenal track record of backwards compatibility. Like the Wii was fantastic with the Virtual Console and everything in GameCube. And the Wii U, if you hack it, is one of the best backwards compatibility machines all in one. But the Switch, it's not there yet, but I'm sure it will get there. Denzel says PS4 Pro is underpowered as fuck. It is. I mean, like it barely, like it'll run 1080, 60 frames like games, but anything 4K, it's just like chug, 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 chug. You don't want to play anything with an uncapped frame rate on that thing. Denzel says my PS4 is a let it die machine. That's good. Should be a let it die in 25th Ward and Silvercase machine. Max says, do I have Forbidden Siren 2? I don't have it legitimately. I do want to get a PAL copy of it. I do have the original Siren, though. And I also have the Siren remaster for the PS3 that's only available digitally and lost to time. Wild Potato says the Xbox One is not as shitty as I make it out to be. I mean, it lacks exclusives. It has a shitty online business model. I don't think it's shittier than Sony. Sony has just as much. And you know what? David says that he's been a gold member since the beginning, and he's never had a problem matchmaking or having like network outages for months or having their entire database hacked full of credit card information, logins, passwords multiple times like Sony has. Let's see. Miles, serious question, says Max. Should I get an Xbox 360 or an OG Xbox for its library? I would say the 360 if you're going to go that way, because while it doesn't have a perfect Xbox original backwards compatibility, it has enough on there to be good. And the 360 has some phenomenal exclusives like Lost Odyssey, Blue Dragon, Operation Darkness. The Halos are pretty good on there. Gears of War, if you're into that. But like, I would say it's got some great stuff from the East, great stuff from the West. Deadly Premonition, the 360 version, I consider the definitive version. It works the best, and it's the one I fell in love with. And you can also play that on Xbox One. It's one of the few titles you can. Let's see. PlayStation Plus is a scam. It's becoming that way. I heard that some of the titles that you downloaded on there have disappeared from your download lists for whatever reason. I thought those were going to be eternal. They're not. Yeah, that 2011 hack on PS3 was fucked. Oh my god. I did have one of my credit cards stolen because of the PlayStation Network. And some guy was buying shit with my stolen credit card, and then I think I reported it stolen, and he bought shit on my account, so they were gonna revoke access to my account, and I had to tear out Sony. I had to go on there and constantly talk to a manager for like 2 weeks to get somebody's to like verify that yes, I did close down the card, yes, there was a legitimate breach of my information, get a statement from my bank notarized and faxed over to Sony so they wouldn't shut down my account that had thousands of purchases on there. So like, here's the thing. I can stick with Sony, risk them breaching my data again, having somebody buy something illegitimately on my account, lose everything, or somebody loses the license to something and lose that, or alternatively, go with the piracy angle, have unlimited access to the game that I purchased forever with no hassle and no bullshit. You know what? Where's the customer in Sony's business model? Doesn't exist. Nobody Life says Japanese games are cat in the bag. Sometimes they're horrible, but sometimes they're masterpieces. I like them because they go out on a limb, try something new. If they fail in a humorous or spectacular way, but you can kind of see where the vision was or where the budget fell out and they couldn't finish it. It's like you can picture what the ideal vision was and you can appreciate it for that merit. Sony and Microsoft for the longest time didn't even try and hide it, that they were going for the most casual market available, the most homogenized, like, shooter game or sports games, or like, you know, they didn't even like bother caring about the hardcore until the hardcore said, I'm fed up with this shit. Like, between like the Xbox One and the PS4, when those people made noise and said that, no, I'm not going to have digital only, always on DRM, that was the first time where a community got together and stood up to somebody, and then Sony was like, oh yeah, we are the good guys. We were planning all along to have physical media. Bullshit. Bullshit. Yeah, so that's pretty much all I wanted to say. Let's talk a little bit about Silent Hill 3 now that I've got you guys here. Oh shit. I just unplugged my PS3, so let's not talk about it. The moment I picked up my cable, I unplugged my PS3. So yeah, that was my little rant about Sony. I've done it once before, but now I think there's a solution in place. If you're out there and you love the PS2, you love playing import games, which I know you do if you watch this channel, go out there, look up the information, look up your model number for your PS3. Do the things that Sony isn't doing for you, is what I'm saying. I'm not going to encourage piracy, but I'm going to say it's an amazing wonderland filled with freedom and convenience. Speaking firsthand. I want to thank you all for watching. I'll catch you all next time. Hopefully with more PS2 reviews in the future, because I don't have to jump over some convoluted ass hoops. Bye-bye.